time to come to our very first Q&A for the SFL Student Panel. I know we're virtual, very sad. Wish I could see y'all in person, but it's okay. So to be totally transparent, I know a virtual setting can be a little intimidating and really awkward. Trust me, I'm nervous. The panelists are probably nervous, but also I wanted to remind you that we are here together as a community to share our stories and experiences and hope that you guys feel just a little bit more comfortable. So if at any time you don't understand a phrase, Greek life has a lot of terms. You have SFL, MGC, just a lot of letters, acronyms, yes. Or if you have a question at all, feel free to type it down in the box below. There's like a chat button in the bottom. Type it in whenever you want and we'll try to get to it as soon as possible. And with that being said, I have very wonderful representatives from various councils and organizations here at UCI who will provide a glimpse into sorority and fraternity life as an affiliated member. Okay, so to quickly break it down, our community has 4 councils. We have Panhellenic, who is just all sororities, IFC, all fraternities, MGC, which is sororities and fraternities, and then we have NPHC. Y'all don't need to know that, but if you just wanted a bigger picture, there you go. Okay, so just to begin, I want my lovely panelists to please introduce yourselves. There's a lot of you, so if Panhellenic would like to go first, please do so. Give me your name, your pronouns, what council you're a part of, and your major. So Yaelin or Lainey, if you would like to go first.
I can go first. Hi, I'm Lainey. I'm part of the Panhellenic Council. My major is psychological sciences.
Guys, my name is William McKay. I'm going into my 4th year at UCI. My pronouns are he, him, his. I serve as the Interfraternity Council president, and I'm a double major in political science and sociology.
Matt?
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Trin. I'm an incoming 4th year business administration major. I go by he, him, his, and I am part of the IFC Council.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Julian Martinez. I am the president of Phi Gamma Delta, aka Fiji. I study political and education science, and my pronouns are bro and bruh.
Beautiful. Okay, MGC.
Hi guys, my name is Celine Fong. I'm a public health policy major, incoming 3rd year, and I'm a part of the MGC council, and I go by she, her, hers.
Hi, my name is Nadira Smith. I'm an incoming 4th year. I am the vice president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We're part of the NPHC. My major is environmental science and policy, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabriela Lassos. I am the Sergeant in Arms of Sigma Lambda Gamma, and which is part of the MGC. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm going to be an incoming 4th year.
Okay, perfect. Just to let you know, we don't really know what we're doing either, so there may be a lot of awkward pauses. It's inevitable. I'm sorry. We're just going to have to live with it. Okay, so we're just going to start off with a couple easy questions because I know our target audience is usually like transfer students or first years. So does anyone want to share why they chose to attend UCI? And I don't want to pick and choose, so if y'all can just unmute and talk, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, I can go and kick it off. I think for me, so I'm from Fullerton, so not too far from UCI at all, probably about 20-30 minutes. I think staying somewhat close to home was something that I wanted because I still wanted to be able to stay somewhat close to family and be able to go home if I wanted on the weekends, but still be far enough to where I could kind of have my own life in Irvine. And I definitely think Irvine helps kind of provide that, as well as the campus itself is, I think, just like the perfect size. It's not too big, not too small. Really does feel like home. And of course, the business school is fairly strong, so I was very happy to be a part of that. So many reasons, but definitely location and campus.
I'll share. So the reason I chose UCI was probably when I visited the campus. I really enjoyed like the plants and like the greenery that is around the campus, and also the campus size. It wasn't too big. for me. And it was also, again, close to home because I grew up in Rancho Cucamonga. So
Myself, why I chose Irvine. It's kind of funny because I applied to 4 different UCs. I think it was San Diego, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz, and of course Irvine. And it was funny because out of all of those that I applied to, Irvine was the only one that I had absolutely zero intention on going to. It was literally just a throwaway application. Um, but just the way everything worked out, it was actually the only one that accepted me, and I'm really glad that it was because on just with everything that happened and where I'm at in my life right now, I couldn't see myself going anywhere else.
Thank you for sharing. And then along with that, does anyone want to talk about your favorite things about UCI?
I'll go. I think one of the most intriguing thing to me, like in choosing UCI and just about UCI in general, is the anteater. I think that's just like such a unique thing, and it definitely grabbed my attention when I was applying because I wasn't able to go and like tour campuses before I applied. So just seeing like mascots and stuff like that was like really something that grabbed me and was like, hey, this is a school that I might want to go to.
So, my favorite thing about UCI would probably be I really enjoy boba. I don't know, I really enjoy that drink. So that's probably my favorite thing.
One of my favorite things about UCI were the towers because they were fairly new when I came. So like the environment the towers have, like I was able to like socialize with like more people, and that's kind of how I like first made friends when I came to UCI. And like I still talk to some of my hallmates to this day. So it's one of my favorite things about UCI.
And also a reminder, if you do have any questions, just type it in. Does someone want to say something?
I can go if you need one person.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think honestly, my favorite part about UCI is being able to just kind of hang out and study in Aldrich Park. It's just kind of a place that I'm able to go and not feel so trapped in a classroom, but still be able to get my work done and be able to hang out.
What was your knowledge of SFL before UCI? Because obviously we didn't go to UCI because it was a party school. We all know that. So if you had any like conceptions or like stereotypical views about SFL before UCI, please do share.
We're all just kind of stuck up and rude, but I've really met a lot of people that are super nice, and that's not true.
I think that a lot of the times, like you see movies and TV shows, maybe like when you're before college, and that kind of shapes your perception of what sorority and fraternity life is like. You assume it's a lot of partying and things like that, and you kind of come away with the impression that this isn't something that's going to help you with your college experience too much, and it's kind of just like something that you do in your free time. But I think from my personal experience, that's very far from the truth. There's a lot of times where like I'm in classes with people who are in my fraternity or in like fraternities who I'm like have friends with. So I just kind of like meet people, we work on study guides together and get a lot of like schoolwork stuff done. So I think there is a benefit to just knowing more people and having like a wider circle when it comes to the classroom and getting grades like in check, you know?
The principle of brotherhood and camaraderie was definitely very prevalent in high school, and it's something that they definitely made sure to drive home to the student body. But coming into UCI, I kind of had that intention of, okay, I want to join, be a part of a community where I can have that same brotherhood and camaraderie that I had in high school. But again, I was, on the fence because, being a frat guy, like, oh, I don't know if that's for me, I don't know if I'm cool enough, or I don't know if, things like that. But like everyone mentioned before, just the moment you start meeting people and putting yourself out there, it's just so much more eye-opening. Like it's something completely different and way better than, any preconceived notions that, I might have had before. So definitely a great experience.
Yeah, just bouncing off really quick of what Matthew said. I had a similar experience with that because I was on the wrestling team in high school. So that's kind of where I found that sense of like brotherhood that I was looking for. I'm the oldest and I'm the only boy in my family. So I have 3 younger sisters. And I think being on that team definitely gave me that sense of, again, brotherhood that I was looking for. But coming into UCI, I, just happened to find myself checking out these events, and I was like, okay, this could be a good, not replacement, because, I couldn't replace that experience, but more so just an additional one, something to supplement it and, to use the principles that I learned before to apply it in this newer setting.
To tag on to all of that, I think for me at least, I joined sorority and fraternity life in my 3rd year, so I'm recently crossed, and I definitely carried like that preconceived notion of like there being cliques and it being very catty in sororities, and going through the process and like learning that was all like thrown out the window in my first meeting with a lot of the sororities in MGC. It was just like everything that you sort of like how William was saying, everything that you see in movies and on TV, it does not accurately represent us as like a community of sorority and fraternity life. So it's just come in and sort of take those preconceived notions and throw them out the window.
Yeah, before I joined MGC, I thought that like sororities were like really exclusive. So like I wasn't really planning to join, but I ended up doing it because I went to a rush event for my sorority Delta Chi, and I just went because like I wanted free food and I was tired of Ant Eatery. So then I like went, and then I got to like talk to the girls more, and I realized that like everything about them, all the stereotypical like things are like not true, because everyone was so welcoming, and they weren't like, they were talking about like every rushy, they weren't like in little groups of their own and stuff like that.
Girl, I thought sororities was like Mean Girls, but on steroids. Why would I pay for friends and dance in matching shirts? But I was completely wrong. I am literally surrounded by empowering, empowering and powerful women that I like aspire to be like, which I never thought. So if you think it's like Mean Girls, you're wrong. But also following up with that, do you want to talk about like your rush events or what your recruitment experience is like? I know it looks different this year, but
speaking to the MGC experience, we do like a whole MGC night where you get to go and like interact with all of the fraternities and the sororities that are in MGC, and it's really just like it's an indescribable environment. It's so hype, and it's so like there's just so much love and strength in that community. Even for like sororities and fraternities, they all like have each other's backs, and the same can be said for IFC and Panhellenic. Everyone is sort of there for each other, and that's just a wonderful thing. In terms of like rushing events, for my sorority, it was more like they had a booth outside, and I was like, oh, I like their colors, I'm gonna go talk to them. And then it was just like it turned into a whole like, wow, I love more than just the colors of this sorority, I love everything about it. You'll see that through the rush process that you will fall in love with the group that you're rushing for.
I was at the fraternity house of the fraternity that I ended up joining, and they had a lot of alumni speakers there and stuff talking about like their experiences. And he was this guy had met his wife like across the bridge from where our fraternity house is, like the sorority house next to us. He ended up marrying one of the girls he met in college, and the best man was one of the guys he was in the fraternity with. So just the fact that it created some sort of like long-lasting relationship over the course of like multiple decades, I think is something really powerful. Can't take for granted.
I can talk a little bit about the Panhellenic experience. I joined my first year in fall of 2018. So we go through a whole week process, which April's right, it's gonna look a little bit different this year. We're not doing it in person, but throughout the whole process, you're able to meet all the girls, and you're able to come back to the houses that you really enjoy, and you're able to really immerse yourself and find out like about each sorority's philanthropy, sisterhood, the more I went through the week, the more I just, with my sorority, I just fell in love, and I was able to kind of realize that this is my home. So by prep night, I knew this is where I wanted to be. So while the week can be a little grueling, it can be a little bit tiring, you honestly find your home at the end, and it's so rewarding.
Does anyone want to explain how they found their home? Sounds cheesy, but
Yeah, I could. I'll run through real quick my experience, kind of going through it. So I think Greek life was something that I was interested in uh, prior to entering college. I think in high school, because of the way it's depicted, I was like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. I'd want to be a part of that. But then again, the way everything happened, I came to UCI. I kind of threw away any aspirations of that, just because I didn't think it would be relevant or anything. So I'm just hanging out with some friends on campus like week 0. So classes haven't even started. And then some random dude from Sigma Nu, actually, shout out Sigma Nu. He rushed me and I was like, yeah, sure, dude. What? You're going to take me to a trampoline park for free? Like, and you're going to feed me after? Like, why not? And I don't have anything to do. So I go there. I loved the whole process, like just what rushing was, getting to know these people, kind of figuring out what it is they're about and what they want to accomplish. So I really give a lot of credit to them because although I didn't join them, they played an important part in my life and just kind of introducing me to the rushing process. So I was like, okay, this is something that I like doing. Let me go check out some more. Second event, and I ended up meeting some other friends. We go to a Fiji event together. I think it was Aldrich Park after dark. We had a great time. We're like, okay, and that day was really important because the friends that I met were the ones I ended up joining with. And they're like some of my best friends now. So that night we decided, okay, we're going to rush together, like as a group, but we're not set on anything yet. So then third event, I ended up going to another fraternity, Sigma Pi. They had their alumni networking event. And again, I thought it was really dope. Really great organization, lots to offer. Alumni, super successful people, had a lot of great insight. But there was just like something about it, just like internally, that I was like, this is cool. I'd like it here, but I don't know. Just something about it doesn't feel right. Like objectively, it's like, I would love it here, but there was a vibe. There was like a certain energy to it that wasn't bad. It just wasn't for me. It just didn't match with my values. So I was like, I talked to my friends. I'm like, oh, okay, which one should we check out next? And they're like, well, we had a lot of fun at Fiji. Maybe let's just go again. So we went back, this time already having a good impression of what it was. And then at that point, I don't know, just all the conversations I had that night, it was pretty much just a done deal. Like I didn't even consider any other organizations. And that's not to say that other organizations wouldn't have been awesome to check out. It's just, I was so comfortable there. I felt like I found my home. I found the place that was going to help me become the person that I was trying to be.
To check out, please don't do that. Every chapter is different at every school. So do what Julian did, check out everybody and see who you like. But yeah.
Finding my sorority was through multiple family members actually being a part of the sorority. It was just seeing women that were, I guess excellent and something that I wanted to model myself as, and kind of lined up with my values as well, which is why I was interested in it. It was just a great appreciation just for the strong history of our sorority.
Through working on campus. So I currently work as a resident advisor for Royal Vista, so shout out to AV. But I had met another, now she's my sister, through working as an RA. And she had just sort of like, hey, let's come to this event. We're putting on an event. Just come check it out and you see if you like it. And then that sort of got the ball rolling. So then I went to a Sigma Lambda Gamma event first. And I was like, okay, I really enjoy these. I enjoy spending time with these girls. I'm already friends with one of them. That's good for me. But then I also realized that like if I'm going to join sorority and fraternity life, I want to find a sorority or fraternity that's like right for me. So just because I had a friend in one, I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm sticking with that one. So I went out to a handful of other MGCs, just recruitment events. And I had just found myself just going back to SLG And I was like, these girls are making me feel like how Julian was saying, like there's no shade. It's all just like you feel a connection. And it's like everyone is like amazing in this community, but you like feel it in your bones that you like want to be with this group. And so that was just sort of like how I like found myself in SLG, but definitely like take advantage of the amount of sorority and fraternity life orgs that there are on campus, because if you limit yourself to just what you know of, you might not find what's right for you.
And also the UCI sorority fraternity life is completely different for something you'll see at like UCSB or USC. We are a lot more wholesome. We care about networking, internships. Not saying that because my boss is here, but I do think our community here at UCI is very special. We contribute a lot to the community and to each other. But yeah, does anyone want to share their fondest like sorority fraternity life experience, whether it be their formals, their big littles, any memories?
I actually decided to join my sorority because during one of the rush events I was at, there was this one girl who I kept talking to, and like we just like kept talking the whole night, and when the whole event was over, I was like, I'm gonna talk to you again. So then I was like, I went out to their next event, and then now she's my big, so that's how I found my big.
Yeah, for me, I think the experience that spoke the most to me happened last year. So our fraternity, our philanthropy cause is military heroes, which means basically we just like raise money for veterans who are affected by PTSD and like try to help their families out a little bit. And we had a member of our chapter know a military veteran who served in Vietnam, who was like asking for money on the street and fell and broke his hip basically. And he was in a hospital and he was waiting for the Calvet housing to like kick in. So it was going to take like 2 years basically for him to get his money from the government to like live at his home. So we were trying to raise money to like subsidize his housing, and eventually did do that. We raised like $10,000 last year for that, and got to like help him move all his stuff into his new apartment, and just seeing like how happy he was with us, like just sitting there helping him move his stuff, like that was definitely more of like the wholesome stuff that we're talking about, and just like a feel good moment for us all.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard thing to top, but for myself, I don't have any specific instance that I could talk about. I have plenty, but I can't pick one at the top of my head. So I think just like one thing that like really excites me every time is like, when I go to like a music festival or something, and I'm just walking around, minding my business with my friends, and then, I see out in the distance this giant purple flag that says Phi Gamma Delta, and I'm like, I immediately I tell everyone, I'm like, we have to stop what we're doing. Like, I don't care who we're going to see, if we're getting food, like I need to go say hi to this person. And then, I go meet up, I ask them, hey, you a Fiji? And they're like, yeah, you are too. And it's just like this instant connection of just like, I've never met this dude in my life. Like for all I know, he's a fucking asshole. Sorry. But like just the fact that we're Fijis, like it's like right off the bat, we have this like connection, and and that's with all fraternities. Like Kappa Sigma has that, whatever. Sorry, Matthew, I don't think you mentioned what fraternity you're in, but same thing with yours. These fraternities, although you're joining one at a respective school, you have to understand like these things have been around for like 2 centuries. When you join one of these, you're not just getting like dozens of brothers and sisters. You're getting thousands of them like, over a long period of time. So it's something you have to keep in mind.
Is everyone okay? Julian, you probably didn't hear it, but you like caused an explosion in our ears for some reason. But thank you for sharing. Next.
I kind of have something to piggyback off of that. With my sorority, we have an alumni brunch. So alumni are able to come to the house and just kind of look through, see, even if they didn't come to our specific chapter, just kind of see how my sorority has grown since their graduation. And I remember this past alumni brunch, I had already cleaned everything up with my sisters. We'd already figured everything up, and like everything was all packaged and we were all done. And about 20 minutes later, I'm leaving the house and these three women walk up and they're like taking pictures of our house, and I'm getting a little creeped out because I didn't really know what was going on. I just see three women taking pictures of our sorority house, which is a little weird for me. And then so I open the door and I try and talk to them, and then I realize that they're three alumni who are unfortunately not able to make it during the designated time period. So instead of kind of just turning them away, I was able to open up the house for them, show them around a little bit, just kind of show them how we've grown and what we've been able to do specifically on our campus. And it was so cool just watching their faces light up as they like looked through all the old composites and like our new composites, and even the one that we have hanging up in our den, just looking through and seeing like all these women that they are now sisters with. Even long after their graduation, they're still able to connect and be able to look through and just see how we've all grown into the women that we are through our sorority, which is a really cool thing to see, just talking to these women and realizing that this is an organization, like Julian said, that spans over hundreds of years. It's not just within our 4 years. There's women who graduated way before me, and they still come back and they still talk about their times within their sorority, which is a really cool thing to know about and experience.
So I can go. So I think when it comes to fondest memories, I think everyone definitely covered it. When it comes to, I think, the network that comes with being a part of an organization, not just at a local level at UCI, but how it extends beyond to even a national level, or international, really. But definitely for me, one of the fondest memories of my fraternity, Phi Delta Theta, I forgot to mention, at a national level, it's definitely the leadership conventions that we have every summer. So last summer and this summer before that, I was in Ohio, and then I was in St. Louis the summer before. And that's really special just because, for example, last summer, that's, every single president from every chapter of our fraternity from around the country comes to this leadership convention to come together to learn about the fraternity, the resources and things we'll need to help lead the chapter to the best of our ability. And it's really special just because everyone there is a leader in their respective chapters. So it's a really special feeling, and you are paired up with you have roommates from other schools. So I had two roommates. One of them was from Middle Tennessee. The other one was from Miami, Florida. It's very special because, particularly with my buddy from Middle Tennessee, I don't think I would have had a friend from Middle Tennessee University, but now I do. And it's that connection that anytime our 4 years here at UCI, even if we never went to school together, kind of like Julian said, like you see that flag, and you already have kind of a starting ground. Okay, you're a Fiji too, or I'm a Phi Delta. So it's just that extra, that little bridge that can lead to some pretty great things for your life, because obviously we're all here in college and trying to start our careers and things like that. When it comes to a smaller local level at UCI, I think my fondest memories of Greek life and being in a fraternity in general it's honestly like the small things. Yes, like all the big events are so much fun. I love them, but it's the small things like going out to dinner together, studying together at a house. And then once we're done studying, we take a break for, happy hour or something like that. It's those small things I think are really special, that's not taken for granted. It's just they're smaller, so we might not pay as much attention to them, but it's those little moments that I think I will probably hold closest to my heart after UCI.
Going off of those like connections, does anyone want to speak about like big little, what that is, your relationship with your big or little? I don't want to call people out, so please unmute yourselves.
I could continue real quick just based on that. So yeah, with the big little system or relationship, it is really special, I think. So I have a big bro and also a big sis. They're both graduated now, but just that role that they play is definitely something special. They are the mentor. They are the best friend. They are, partner in crime, whatever you want to call it. They're that person that you can go to for really anything. They are, like a sibling. Obviously, there's a lot of fun too. I have a ton of banter with my big bro and big sis. So it's definitely a special relationship. Like everyone was kind of talking about before, when you are getting to know people in your organization, you kind of have that connection with the organization. But within the organization, you might have a stronger connection with an individual. So you start to form that one-on-one relationship with them, and then fingers crossed they become your big bro, they become your big sis. And my big sis, she is actually responsible for getting me my current job. And my big bro is actually somewhat responsible. I don't want to give him too much credit. Responsible for getting me my current internship. So cheers to them.
In Ireland. And then the following year, I get a little. A little is an international student, so he lives in Singapore right now. So I can't really hang out with him that much. Yeah, honestly, I have nothing like great to say about this. I haven't had an amazing experience, but honestly, it's just really valuable. It really provides you a lot of guidance. When you get a big, it provides you a lot of guidance and a role model to look after, specifically in the chapter. And then when you get a little, it kind of puts some responsibility on yourself to be a better role model and to kind of implement those ideas that you've been taught.
Yeah, for me, so I joined winter of my first year, which, like I'm fourth year now, so a while ago. And it's kind of because that fall quarter I had a lot of those preconceived notions of like what Greek life was like and wasn't too interested. But one of the things I noticed about UCI is that it's very quiet, like socially, like people are very much like just trying to get from class to class and just get through their day of work. And I wanted to play basketball, but the club basketball team was practicing at like 6 a.m. So that was a no for me. So I would go to the ARC, the rec center that we have, to go play basketball. And one day, like, just was talking to this guy, and his name was Cart, and we just like were playing basketball together, finished the game, and like just exchanged phone numbers. I'm playing basketball, but like taught me a lot of small things that no one really teaches you, like in the educational system. You know what I mean? Like how to talk to girls and stuff. Like I was a little shy and reserved, so he was just like helpful for a lot of different things that people don't really like explain this to you, unless you have that certain type of relationship with them. And it's funny that Matthew mentioned this, but he actually worked at the recreation center and helped me get a job there too. So a lot of things that he helped me with, I owe a lot to him for sure.
My sorority is a little bit different in terms of big and little. So we do Gamma moms and Gamma daughters. So it's so essentially your Gamma mom is your big technically. So my Gamma mom actually is the same RA who introduced me to the sorority, and turns out that she had a whole plan to rope me in and be like, hey, I'm gonna be her mom. That was her plan from the beginning. And so it had been like, we had during like rushing and during like the process of being inducted into this sorority, we would definitely like sort of get on each other's nerves, much like a mom and a daughter would. So towards the end of it, when we finally got announced that she was my big and I was her little, it was just totally felt perfect, and it was just an amazing experience. It's like I really was like, it's sort of like how Celine was saying, like you just hit it off with one.
Yeah, so I met my big and we hit it off at like one of the Rush events. And then it turns out, like, as I got to know her, like, we're actually from the same place and we grew up around the same place. So it was kind of like perfect when we were paired together because, like, we're from the same place. We could hang out all the time. And except for now, because I'm in Irvine and she's at home. But, like, yeah, we clicked with each other, and she definitely, like, taught me a lot of things. And I grew up being the oldest out of my siblings, so having like a big sis, like she was always there for me, like guidance and stuff.
Also keep in mind that a lot of these big little stories are very like good and warm and welcoming, but that's not the relationship for everyone. Some are more like parental figures, some are more mentor figures, some are best friends. So don't go in the big little program thinking you're going to find that ideal big that you see in movies. It's different for everyone. Just putting that out there, because you will come in with expectations and you might be disappointed. So yeah, thank you all for sharing. For those who have been in your organization for more than 1 year, please describe one of your most valuable lessons.
I have a good one. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. That's it.
Do you want to elaborate how you learned that lesson?
Sorry, I was doing like a stupid mic drop thing. Yeah, so persistence, persistence is just a fancy word for not giving up. You got to keep trying at things. That's how you grow as an individual. Failure. A quote that I read once that's really cool is failure, or the word fail is just an acronym for first attempt in learning. You know, so if you meet someone who's never failed at anything in their life, that's not because they're a success. That means they haven't tried anything. You know, I have failed at dozens of things. I'm going to continue to fail at many other things in the future, but that's all in the endeavor of like continuously just trying to learn new things, trying to develop myself, lead my community, promoting what's good and excellent. So yeah, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Just never give up. It's as simple as that. Just never give up.
Whatever, like, obviously you guys are here for a reason. Like, you guys are a part of this call for a reason. There's something you're looking for. And whatever that is, you're not going to get it just by joining. Like, there will be opportunities presented to you and things will become a lot easier because of the environment that you're in. But you still, at the end of the day, need to like take the initiative and just kind of like go after what you want, go after your goals, and put a lot of effort into everything that you do. That's the only way that you can maximize your experiences. Can't let things happen to you. You have to take control.
Yeah, I think just to add on to that too, that same exact thing that Will said applies to just college in general, really, not even just Greek life. I know if you take rushing, for example, rushing a fraternity or sorority, coming from high school, it's a daunting thing walking through Ring Road on UCI and walking through the gauntlet of boothing and all these people with flyers, and you want to start a conversation, but you don't know. It's putting yourself out there, being able to push yourself to just go up to someone, introduce your name. Hey, my name is Matthew. Nice to meet you. Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. Taking that first step, taking the initiative, and just putting your foot in the door. It'll make a huge difference if you just keep practicing that. That's definitely a valuable lesson that I think we can all learn, or we have all learned in college, throughout college, is just kind of becoming that social butterfly, you could say. Definitely Greek life has helped so much in developing your person into someone who's confident in speaking with others, meeting other people, whether or not you've ever seen them in your life, starting a conversation, finding common ground, and carrying a conversation. So that's definitely a valuable lesson for me that I've learned, is just put yourself out there, network, and again, like Will said, just no one's going to do it except you. So you just gotta buckle up and get it done.
And just piggybacking off of that, would y'all like to share what other organizations out in very well-rounded individuals? So if you would like to show off about yourself, go ahead.
Yeah, just to start off really quick, in addition to being president of my organization, I also serve as the Food Waste Fellow for the university. Pretty much what that position is, I am one of a few designated leaders on campus to pretty much promote sustainable living on campus to the students. As you know, according to Sierra Magazine, we're one of the top 10 coolest schools. That doesn't mean like rad cool. That means like in terms of reducing carbon emissions. So we're one of the leading institutions in trying to do that, and trying to provide environmental cleanliness, preserving ecosystems, and also reducing food waste. And the food waste aspect is the one that I specifically specialize in. I started off as a green captain, but then I made the commitment full time. So pretty much what my position just entails is engaging research about the food waste that happens on campus, and then also creating educational programming for the campus community, kind of teaching them on as to how they can reduce that waste, whether it's shopping more mindfully, reducing their portions, buying things that are fair trade certified. And this is all kind of in the endeavor of helping people be healthier, because I think that's where it stems from first. I think once you make the people healthy first, then they will care enough to make the planet healthy.
For me, in terms of involvement, a lot of it has been more like job based. So this joining sorority and fraternity life was my sort of extracurricular outside of working, and sort of finding time for myself, because I had just worked so much on campus that I made a lot of great connections through it, but I wasn't having fun like I should have been. So I guess I've worked for dining the past almost 4 years now, and then I've worked for housing for the past almost 3 years. So I've basically seen a lot of stuff. I've seen some crazy things as an RA. I've seen things as a program assistant. I've seen things as student council for the communities. I have had a lot of options. Like you will just, through sorority and fraternity life and through just working on campus, you will meet a bunch of amazing and wonderful people that will open a bunch of new doors for you that you might not have known about. So even if your involvement on campus isn't like clubs, it's just working and trying to figure out how you're gonna keep paying for stuff, you will meet people who will help you find time to make time for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, kind of related to jobs, I was offered a position with Guayaki. I don't know if you guys know what yerba mate is. It's like it's like an energy drink basically, but it's like caffeine that comes from South America, from like a natural leaf that's like very like uplifting, but you don't get that same crash that you would from like Monsters or Rockstars. So like they let me be an ambassador for a year, which basically just meant like every few weeks I would go pick up like cases of these like energy drinks and go like take pictures with people. And this was all for free. Like they just let me like hold onto the cans and stuff like that. But it was super cool because like they were just basically like so many people through like your connections through the school that like you are a good person to go do this and like share our product with people. And they get a bunch of that product for free. So that was really cool. And that's pretty common too, with like a bunch of brands and stuff like that.
So I'm also involved in a program, or not program, but organization on campus called MAPS. So it's for minority students who are interested in pre-health. So I wanted to find something that was kind of on track with what I wanted to do after college. And I also work at the School of Education as well. So it was fun meeting a lot of different students that would come through the door and need counseling or something like that. So definitely being involved, in a sorority, but also around campus is definitely doable.
Yeah, so I think as far as involvements, I used to be a part of Real Estate Association, which is an on-campus organization. It kind of coincides a little bit more with my business or my career aspirations, because I would like to get into commercial real estate after college. So definitely that's been really helpful and really rewarding, just kind of building a community within the business school, within peers that are also interested in real estate, and again, networking with their whole community and their guest speakers and whatnot. And then on top of that, I currently work in the Division of Continuing Education part of our campus. So it's an all extension part of our UCI campus. But basically, our main job is to provide the best possible experience for international students who are here at UCI. Most of the time, we're not catering to the international students here as undergrads. It's more the international students here for special programs like ESL certificates or ACP accelerated certificate programs, or even professionals coming from all around the world, Taiwan, South America, China, Korea, anywhere, coming to UCI for a special program. And our job is providing the best possible experience with activities and things to do around California, That way, you know, they're not just here in California just to go to school. They're here to also enjoy their time here. That's been really special, just kind of building a community within that, the more international community, which I probably wouldn't have done if I weren't working there. On top of that, ton of my coworkers, they're all on dance teams. I think I'm like one of the few people who cannot dance at all. So it's definitely nice just building different communities in different areas or different involvements in the campus that I might not have been involved in otherwise.
Megan has a really good question, actually. So she is asking, how will recruitment work this year? Well, unfortunately, it is all virtual. If someone on the Panhellenic board that is more knowledgeable than me wants to jump in, because I barely know what I'm doing. So, Jaylene, Lainey.
We're still figuring out specifically what's going to happen with recruitment this year, but you're right, it is going to be all virtual. We're looking into a couple different websites we can use to kind of explain what each individual sorority is to PNMs or potential new members for those who are unaware. So while nothing is completely solidified, we will still be having the same week-long sort of schedule. There will still be parties. We are just solidifying which websites we're going to use in order to relay that information to you guys. But as soon as all that information is set in stone, we will gladly answer any sort of questions. But again, it's still going to be a week-long recruitment process. We're still going to have the same thing where you select and then we go based off of that. And parties, for those who don't know, is some designated time where you will be going to an individual sorority and learning, like what I mentioned earlier, about their philanthropy or their sisterhood. And we'll be able to explain that in more detail if you go to, with the specific parties. So while nothing is completely set in stone, just know it will still be a week-long process, but it will all be virtual.
And then you can find more information soon on our website or on our Instagram, which is UCI SFL. You should follow it. But it is virtual. But yes, do frats want to explain what you're doing?
Yeah,
you know
I can handle that. So basically, usually recruitment for the Interfraternity Council and its respective chapters is very informal, and people just kind of pick and choose what fraternities and what events they want to go to. So what we're going to be doing is I don't know, we don't have an exact date scheduled out yet, but we will have a Zoom meeting kind of like this where fraternities will just drop in and kind of give you 3 to 5 of the members from each chapter will kind of give you a little spiel about what they do, what their philanthropy cause is, and what they represent, what they're about basically. And then they'll kind of give you some more additional information as to what recruitment events they'll be having, but they will all be online, and there will not be any in-person events for fall for the recruitment period, or if you are accepting a bid, then you won't have any in-person events for your new member education process either. But if you do want to keep up with that information, I recommend following UC Irvine IFC and the SFL page as well, just so that you guys can keep track of our social media posts and kind of see if anything changes, then you can keep up with the new information.
Thank you. Okay, and Angela asked, do we have to live on campus this year or in Irvine for the fall quarter in order to rush? You do not. Everything's virtual. We accept everyone. Yeah. And then Julie asked, if we are moving to Irvine in the fall, will there be Greek life events? First and foremost, your safety and the safety of our community is what we are focusing on. So all events will be virtual, and we will have events like the Anteater Involvement Fair on September 28th, save the date, and it's just a virtual preview of all the events that we're gonna have. But as of right now, everything fall is gonna be virtual. Yeah, I'm bummed. But yeah, any other questions involving virtual recruitment? Okay, beautiful. Also, just try it out. This is new for everyone, and you don't have anything to lose if you rush during fall.
Also,
I also have, oh, go ahead.
That if you rush during the fall and then you just don't feel it during the fall, so you you step away from it or you don't necessarily get a bid in the fall, you can keep trying. Come back. it's just a matter of how much you want it and how much you're going to be willing to put into it. Because if it's too much for you in the fall, then do it in the spring or in the winter. Or if it's just a matter of circumstance, just you can keep trying, you can keep going.
That's a good point. You don't
Yeah.
have to do anything that you don't want to do. Go ahead, Lainey.
Exactly. That's kind of the thing with a lot of times. The recruitment process in fall can be kind of grueling, especially for Panhellenic. But I know a lot of my sisters who came back and joined later in winter or in spring, it was not something they felt pressured to do. And if it's something that may be a little bit too much for you right now, don't worry. It can be kind of intense at first, and especially starting as a first year or even coming in as a transfer or any other situation that you're coming into Greek life, it can be really overwhelming. So don't feel any sort of pressure to live up to any expectations that you may think that we have. It's all to help you.
I also got another question about dues, which is a really big point about sorority and fraternity life. Unfortunately, it's not free, so if anybody would like to jump in and talk about dues.
Really quick, a common criticism about dues is that, it's basically a fee for these friends. You're paying for these friends. That's not true at all, because it's not like anyone can just pay to be in a fraternity. You have to be accepted by the members themselves. But on top of that, it's what the dues are supposed to do. It allocates to different things. Like a portion of it is supposed to serve as insurance for your international headquarters. And God forbid anything bad happens, you need to, any damage protocol. So there's a certain portion of it goes to insurance, and not only insurance but also educational programming from the entire fraternity. If you go onto the respective website, they have plenty of resources that you can look at in terms of graduate engagement, parent involvement, just literally anything. So that's where that portion goes to. Pretty much everything else is literally just to create a budget at the start of the quarter so that whatever events you want to do during the year can easily be paid for promptly. Because if you, let's say, if people just kind of, I'll put it this way, if you ask ever to pay for, so if you just allocate the budget right away, you have a solid figure that you can look at, and then you can plan for the next 10 weeks as to how you want to spend it. Okay, we'll spend like a couple thousand this week, won't spend any this week. It's just all about planning and getting that budget early on. That's what dues are pretty much for.
And Leslie asked the question if dues will change since there will be no in-person event. It depends on the organization, but we personally have reduced our dues because due to the circumstances. So if anyone wants to talk about that.
I was just going to say that like every fraternity and sorority kind of handles the way they do their dues differently. So that's something that like when you guys are going through your recruitment, like if you're asking questions about that, those are good questions because like that's something that you want to know. A lot of like every chapter basically has like a finance chair or like a treasurer. And a lot of the times if you have like financial troubles though, they're very willing to like work with you or like make payment plans or things like that. It's usually not like so cutthroat. And if there are like a lot of people with like financial problems, I've had people help me out like at certain points in like my quarters here at UCI because like I'm not like the most well-off person or anything like that. So like a lot of my pledge bros have like helped me, and then like I just work a little bit harder like the next week and pay them back or whatever. But yeah, it's different depending on the organizations. So you really want to like ask those kind of questions during recruitment.
I can say that for Panhellenic, if you go through the recruitment process, you will receive a financial transparency sheet, and it kind of just goes over all the breakdown with all the dues on what goes into what for each quarter pretty much. And I know for certain chapters, if not all, they all have different payment plans. I know I did pay for my own dues, so I kind of work over the summer, and certain chapters also do kind of have like GPA like scholarships. So if you have, I know, for example, one chapter that I know of, if you get like a 4.01 quarter, they will like reduce like $50 off your dues. So that's also very helpful. But yeah, I feel like there are very attainable ways to kind of pay for your dues if you can't pay for it all at once. So there are a lot of options available for that too.
And speaking from first experience, I am a first generation student. My parents have never been to college. They don't even know what a sorority is. So I have worked and paid off all my dues for the past 3 years, and they aren't going to kick you out if you can't pay dues. They will literally do what they can to accommodate you and just write out that week, but then the next week, that's perfect fine.
Brotherhood and sisterhood are always going to take priority over the financial obligations of the chapter. Like, they always have your back first. So it's not like your treasurer is going to be your friend. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to fulfill his like duties as treasurer and get his job done. But at the end of the day, like, they're still going to be on your side when they're talking to you about this kind of stuff.
And I know it can be really intimidating and really scary, but trust me, just reach out and talk to people about finances. Like, make sure you know what you're paying for and what you're getting yourself into before you actually join. I have another question about hazing. If people want to share their experiences about it and what it is.
We do not haze. It is set in stone and it will not be tolerated. So any misconceptions you may have about that, hazing does not happen within Panhellenic sorority.
For MPHC, we do also have a policy for no hazing. So that could mean, I know you see stuff about like, you know, extreme things, but that could mean picking up something or just driving somebody somewhere. That's not tolerated in the MPHC.
The same can be said for MGC. There's no hazing whatsoever that's tolerated by the council itself. And then I know for the sorority that I'm in, we have a whole like page of policy on no hazing and how detrimental it is to the sisterhood. So it's just important, like, if you ever feel uncomfortable, call them out, because then they'll take a look at their process and they'll be like, okay, this is a little awkward, or this makes me feel a little funny too. So just make sure that you are comfortable enough to call it out if you ever see it happening, but it shouldn't be happening ever.
IFC also has a no hazing policy.
Yeah, speaking personally, the topic of hazing prevention is actually like something I'm really passionate about, because my fraternity alone has closed over 12 different chapters in the past 2 years because of it. So, you know, I'm out here trying to grow my organization. I want to make it bigger. I want to include more people. But unfortunately, because of these traditions, I mean, what are traditions really? Like, it's peer pressure from old people. You know, because of these traditions, like, I'm watching my organization like die, like one by one. So, and here's my opinion on why hazing's a thing. I think what hazing is, it comes as a result of a negative transformation of what used to be a very solid and helpful pledge education program. You know, because people haze each other or haze potential new members because they're like, oh, you know, you want to be part of this, you have to earn it, right? Well, I mean, like, yeah, to a degree, you know, because it's a privilege to be a part of a fraternity, and you have to contribute to be a part of it. But so I think what the pledge education was supposed to do, it's supposed to challenge you a little bit, because it gives you more responsibility. It's like, oh, you know, you have to show up to these meetings, you have to carry yourself a little better than you used to, because you're representing an organization now, not just yourself. So I think that, yeah, that's why hazing exists. It wasn't always an institution, I don't think. I think it just happened as a result of people, you know, joining fraternities, being really successful from it, and then letting it kind of get to their heads. And then they think, oh, because, you know, now I can treat anyone how I want to, because, you know, they're willing to do so. I think that's where it all stems from. So it's just kind of this, you know, this balance, I think, of maintaining the idea that, you know, pledge education should be a little bit difficult. It's supposed to challenge you, you know, because that's how you grow. You grow through, you know, through difficulties or whatnot, but it's not supposed to any way, shape, form supposed to degrade you or humiliate you or chip away at your character. Like, that's not what it's about. And if that's something you're experiencing, I mean, just like Will said, I mean, this is the president of IFC speaking, him speaking, you know, he says, like, if you need to report it, like, like do so. It's scary to do so, but like you need to, because you don't know what you could be preventing. Like people have died from these things. People have gotten seriously injured because of these of just anything. Yeah, so just call it out. Call it out when you see it.
Long story short, if you guys report it, we don't tolerate it, have respect for yourself, and you should not be paying for an organization that is hazing you in order to bond over trauma. That is not acceptable. Period. Did someone else want to speak?
Honestly, April, that was a great way to put it. Like that's why people are so hesitant to stop it, is because they bond over the trauma. They're like, oh, we went through these horrible things together. Like I feel like there's better ways to get close to people.
Did someone else want to speak?
I was going to comment something in regards to fraternities and the hazing. People do talk that we abide by those policies, but honestly speaking, there are other organizations currently still doing that kind of microaggressively, right? They tell you about those policies, but even throughout pledgeship or throughout anything, they still continue that. Like I'll admit to like even like in my own fraternity or the fellow ones, like I do see it like, you know, at a minimal like form, but it all comes down to the exec people who are on board to kind of realize what we want from these potential new members, right? Do we want them so then they could be the best representatives of UCI, or do we want them just to grow within our chapter, right? These fraternities are entitled to the school as well. They're like connected. So it's like, no, you're not just representing the groups that you're part of, but also the school as well. So a lot of, some fraternities don't regard that some of these students are students, right? So they require you to put in some amount of hours throughout the week, or we need to meet up at this time of day or hour. Like they're not considerate of those kind of things. So that's why like in my exec, we try to kind of, or just as in IFC in general, we're trying to like consolidate towards students as well, and kind of let them know that we're not just asking you guys to do things for our own selves, but also we need to hear out what these students want or need with their schedules and kind of meet based on equity with that. So yeah, any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you for sharing. Leslie, do you want to clarify what you mean by all sororities and fraternities that UCI don't rush?
I think what she's asking is like, so it's for sure that all organizations don't do that. And I just to answer that, I'm pretty sure like it's like hazing is a zero tolerance policy. Like no one is supposed to be doing so. Of course, just like what Inhyuk said, there's no guarantee that every organization is going to be following those rules. But for the most part, there's a zero tolerance policy for it. So if you do see it happening and you address it, like it will be taken care of.
Yeah,
I just want to say,
good.
anyone on this panel, you guys, if you guys experience that kind of stuff, I know for sure me, anyone on this panel, and anyone on the executive boards for each of the councils will take that very seriously, because we have a zero tolerance policy for hazing, and that's not something that we take lightly. And if someone is in recruitment and feeling uncomfortable at anything, that is something that all of us will take very seriously. And we want this recruitment process to be something that you feel comfortable doing, and you feel comfortable finding the people that you want to be around. And if hazing is a part of that, that will not be tolerated.
Yeah, I think to echo what everybody's shared so far, they've all kind of hit it on the head, but essentially hazing is illegal. So regardless if it's a fraternity, sorority, regardless if it's a chess club or Pokemon club, is I used to go to as my favorite example, but it is illegal. And so it shouldn't be happening in any capacity, but if it is, you should know that the repercussions that come as a result of it, from losing your degree, being kicked out of campus, financial implications, and that's not even taking into account the law side of things, where it is a felony or misdemeanor count for folks that do participate in it on that front. And so we are trying to do our best to make sure at least that folks report that to the proper locations on campus, whether it be a fraternity sorority group, whether it be some on-campus groups as well, but like being able to provide that information to us as an office and to on-campus leaders as well, so that we can nip it in the bud and make sure at least that you all as students are safe on that front. But hazing is illegal in all aspects of campus, so it doesn't matter if it's fraternity sorority life. It could be you joining a new campus employment on campus and they're asking you to do things that are a scavenger hunt, or things that force you to be up late at night, or physical activities that result in you being injured or harmed. Like Julian kind of pointed it out, activities that cause you to humiliate yourself or be degraded, those things are considered hazing. And it takes different forms. your organization asking you to stay up late at night to work on a project that you can leave without any repercussions, that's not considered hazing by any means. But if there are repercussions for you as a potential new member of an organization, that if you leave, these are the consequences that will happen to you as a result of it. Those are things that are considered hazing. And so like, there is a fine line between those different activities, but we welcome anybody to contact our office at any time to let us know if they have questions about that. A great question about that.
On more of the sorority side, we literally baby our P&Ms. You get gifts all week. You get spoiled with food, clothes. It's more of an informative process where we guide you on how sorority life is. Yeah, that was a little intense, but I'm glad we got that out there. Leslie, I hope you're doing okay with all these answers. Does anyone else want to ask any more questions before I have just one last one? Anything at all? We are here for you. Don't be nervous. Someone asked me where our dues are going and what we're paying for, as well as activities that will happen during a virtual quarter.
So I think once again, that really depends on what sorority or fraternity that you are interested in, because everybody's dues sort of goes to different parts of the sorority or the fraternity. So it'll go to headquarters and it'll go to the chapter itself. And there's certain, and in terms of like what are going to happen with dues, it's all really up to headquarters and in terms of like headquarter dues or chapter dues. And that's something that you'll have more experience hearing about when you go to particular rush event.
I was gonna say, at least for MPHC, for my sorority, it goes to programs that we put on campus. So we have different program, I guess, targets that we focus on, and that goes towards that. It also goes towards events that go on during the year, nationally and locally.
I just kind of want to reiterate, don't let something financial completely deter you away from Greek life. We will work with you if you're experiencing some financial difficulties. I know personally my chapter, we have a lot of payment plans. We have options for girls. It's not something that's just kind of like cut it, like you don't pay dues, you're out. Like we want to work with you. Like William was saying, like sisterhood and brotherhood, that comes first. It's not about the money. And I know we're working on virtual things that we can do, even just like Zoom meetings, hanging out with sisters, just stuff that we can do even if we are virtual, still continuing to bring that sisterhood to light and continue to be a sorority, even if we aren't able to meet in person.
I hope that kind of explains it. We're still working on all the details of it, but I promise you we're trying our best. This is really hard. Okay. If there are no other questions, I have one more for the rest of the panel. Okay. So what's one thing you would tell your 18-year-old self as a potential new member, or any advice for anyone that's listening?
Honestly, it's really cliche, but go for it. I think you'll face a lot of like questioning times, whether you're first year here or you're a transfer here, because it's a whole new experience. It's a whole new world, essentially. So whether it's going to be virtual or in person, you just have to go for it and sort of try and figure out what works for you. And if you don't think something works and you want to see it work, wait a little while and make sure that you find yourself before like you start giving yourself out to others, if that makes sense. Like not in a weird giving stuff out, but like making it so that you feel comfortable and put yourself first. And I think that was definitely something I struggled with my first year, because I was like, well, I want to make friends. I want to make everyone happy. No, I need to make myself happy so I can do well in school, and then I can make my friends happy. So it's just sort of like finding that balance in your first year as a transfer is really important.
I guess, so I'm like 21 years old right now. So I was 18 3 years ago. If I was talking to my 18-year-old self, I would tell him to just plan ahead. You know, that's probably one of the most important things in all of life. Like it's gonna help you a lot in college, but just in general. Because for me, I'm a very reactionary, like live in the moment type of guy. And it's worked out for me like this far or so far. But I mean, sometimes I look at certain situations like back in my life and I think, you know, how much like could I have done just that much better if I just took a little bit of time to just plan it out instead of, you know, winging it or going through the motions. So I'm definitely planning a lot more now, and I'm noticing a lot of important differences.
I think I would tell my 18-year-old self, um, we kind of mentioned it before, but coming from high school, we have these, you know, like we said, preconceived notions coming into college, just about really anything about college life, about Greek life, whatever it is. You don't have to throw those away. But what I would say, what I would correct is being open-minded. You really have to be open-minded. You have to be open to new experiences, open to meeting new people, willing to meet new people. Um, and again, it's college. It's a whole new world. You might be friends with someone you don't think you would have been friends with in high school. High school, it's a smaller bubble. When you go to college, it's still a bubble, but it's a very big bubble. So be open-minded, be willing to put yourself out there, be willing to meet different all types of people, and definitely get involved. Get involved early. Start your freshman year. Get involved, whether that's Greek life, whether that's Greek life and something else. Whether whether or not you know find something that fits you, but get involved, and you'll find that the rest of the years coming after are much more fulfilling and much more rewarding. But that's definitely something I'm glad I've had the experience that I've had up to this date. But I would definitely recommend getting more involved your freshman year.
I think kind of piggybacking off of that is I would say you get out of Greek life what you put into it. It's something that is very rewarding and you meet so many great people. It's something I would never regret, but it is something that you work at. And by getting involved either your first year or if you joined as a transfer, just getting involved and meeting those people and going through like recruitment or rush and just getting out there, and you know, maybe you'll end up like on one of these panelists one day. You never know. It's that kind of thing where you are able to put in the effort and then you will meet those great people, you will gain that experience, and you will get those opportunities that we've all had the blessing of receiving through this wonderful organization.
I think I would tell my 18-year-old self that working hard and playing hard are not mutually exclusive things. Meaning like I used to like I was valedictorian in high school, like I was a nerd. Like I went like hard in the books, like I cared so much. And like I was not happy when I graduated high school. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't like where I wanted to be in life. So like it's not like I lost any of that when I went to college. It's just that like I realized like, oh, like 4.7 GPA, like that's not gonna help me if I like don't know the right people, can't get the right jobs, like don't do the right things, like. And then it's not like the spontaneity of like the Greek is something that like helps your mental health a lot. Like I just get like a random text message every now and then. It's like, you want to go to Newport Beach today and like just hang out, and like that, just like being with the friends and like being around cool people instead of just like being in your room studying all the time. Like it makes a huge difference, and like you'll see yourself improve academically if you just like give yourself a break every now and then too, and like allow yourself to have some fun.
I feel like this has already been said, but definitely set goals for yourself, just personal goals for yourself. That could be different for everyone, and definitely prioritize things that you find important, especially in your first year, you know, like getting out there and finding things that you're interested in.
Any last thoughts before we close up? Okay, so just last thought from me. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat things for you. The process of finding your home isn't all rainbow and sunshine. Like it's not. It can be really difficult for some people, and you're not going to have that home feeling right away. This feeling of home is sometimes developed through months of creating memories and relationships. You're not going to feel it as soon as you walk into that door. But again, you need to trust that process, comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is college. When is another time that you're going to do something like this? So I suggest you try out SFL, try out new organizations, something new. And I would not have the confidence to speak to you and to speak in front of all of you today without Greek class. So try something new. Thank you all for coming. We also have another SFL event August 12th at 5 p.m. We're gonna have a little game room where you can hang out with more members like us and just talk. Super informal. Follow our Instagram at UCI SFL, and also more updates on our website, sororityfraternity.uci.edu. Thanks for coming to my channel. Ed, Marina, if you have anything else to say?
Nope, just want to say thank you to all our panelists. Y'all did a fantastic job, but again, please follow us on social media. All those tags are listed on the screen for you all to kind of look at and follow us on those accounts, but posting some information regarding how to get plugged in and interest information. One group that's not included on there is our MPHC Council, which is looking to form in the next few months as well. So will be an additional council to consider as well. But with 40 plus organizations on campus, there's a lot of opportunities that exist. So again, thank you all for coming out, and we'll look to talk to y'all soon. Take care.